Picture this. You are 12 years old, and your life ends the moment the iron gates swing shut. The world you knew, your mother's voice, the rough soil of your village, the smell of smoke from your father's hearth, fades like a dream at dawn. The air inside smells of roses, incense, and fear. The stone walls rise so high they swallow the sky. You think you've entered a palace of wonders, a place of marble and silk, but the women beside you do not smile. Their eyes, painted dark and heavy, flicker like trapped birds. One girl bites her lip so hard, you see blood glisten against her teeth. A eunuch leads you forward. His face is unreadable, carved from obedience. But the absence between his legs tells you more than words ever could. You know what he lost. You begin to wonder what will be taken from you. They strip you of your name. The syllables of your birth are cut away as surely as shears cut hair. A new name is whispered, foreign on your tongue, like a key that locks a door you can no longer open. That night, you sleep on a mat beside 20 other girls. The chamber is warm, almost stifling, the air heavy with sweat and perfume. You listen to whispers. Keep your eyes lowered. Never speak unless asked. Smile, but not too much. Then, the words that knot your stomach. If he calls for you, pray he forgets you quickly. A muffled cry echoes through the stone. It rises, breaks, then vanishes into silence. No one dares speak of it, but you know. The walls here are not only built of stone, they are built to keep secrets. The days that follow are a blur of rules. You learn to bow until your forehead nearly touches the floor, to eat slowly, gracefully, never finishing your plate, as if hunger is beneath you, to walk as though gliding, toes soft on marble. The older women test you with sharp corrections, a hand on your shoulder when you bow too shallow, a slap when your gaze rises too high. You swallow every word, every sting, because you understand something even at 12. Here, survival begins with silence. In the courtyard, you glimpse fountains carved with lions, gardens where cypress trees pierce the sky. For a moment, beauty deceives you. You imagine freedom among the leaves. But then you see guards with curved swords and realize even the trees grow behind walls. One evening, an older concubine kneels beside you. Her smile is soft, but her voice cuts. Do not dream of escape. There is none. You stare at her, desperate to ask why. She lowers her voice further. Because we are not guests. We are possessions. Her hand brushes yours. A brief kindness before she turns away. That night, you do not sleep. You stare at the ceiling beams and listen for footsteps, praying they do not stop at your door. Then, they do. A eunuch appears, lantern in hand. He says nothing, only points. A girl across the room trembles, rises, follows him barefoot into the darkness. Her eyes find yours once before the door closes. You never see her again. And you understand, with a certainty that burns your chest, your body no longer belongs to you. They call it instruction, but it feels like erasure. From dawn until night, you are reshaped. The morning begins with voices chanting in unison, not prayers, but drills. Shoulders down, eyes lowered, lips curved. You repeat until the gestures become muscle memory, even when your heart beats with dread. The women who teach you are not cruel for cruelty's sake. They are survivors, sharpening you into something palatable for the master you have not yet seen. Obedience is safety, one whispers as she forces your chin down with 2 fingers. Defiance is death. You learn to pour sherbet into crystal without spilling a drop, to play the oud softly enough to soothe but not so well as to outshine others, to speak in a tone that pleases but never challenges. At first, you believe these lessons are about refinement. Then you notice what is missing. No one teaches you to read. No one speaks of choice. Every movement is about display, about pleasing eyes that are not your own. The eunuchs oversee the drills. They glide silently across the floor, robes brushing marble, their gazes sharp. One corrects you with a single cough. Another jerks his head, and you understand to adjust your step. Their mutilation was supposed to strip them of desire, yet you feel their power press against your skin, like a second set of shackles. At night, when the lanterns dim, girls whisper in the dormitory. Some dream aloud of becoming Haseki, the favored companion, imagining jewels, influence, perhaps even a son who might rise to rule. Others weep quietly, fearing the night when their turn comes. You remain silent, listening. Part of you wants to hope, another part wants only to vanish. Weeks pass. The lessons grow sharper. They teach you how to smile with your lips while burying fear behind your teeth. They show you how to laugh softly at a man's joke, even when it sickens you. They drill your posture until your back aches, warning that even a bent shoulder could be read as insult. One evening during practice, a girl beside you falters. Her hand shakes as she pours tea. A single drop splashes onto the tray. The instructor's slap is immediate, loud, final. The girl staggers. Silence fills the hall. Later, you find her in the dormitory, clutching her cheek. She whispers, "I wish they had left me in chains." Her words unsettle you. They reveal a truth you had tried to hide. Sometimes, freedom is not found outside these walls, but in not being chosen at all. Yet still, a current of temptation runs beneath the fear. You hear stories of women who rose from these chambers to command the empire from behind veils, shaping wars and treaties through whispers in the Sultan's ear. Some say the mother of the Sultan wields more power than viziers. This promise of influence divides the girls. Some polish their every gesture with hunger for advancement. Others move through training like ghosts, praying to be overlooked. One night, as you kneel during lessons, you feel the instructor's eyes linger. Her smile is faint, unreadable. She adjusts your stance herself, her fingers cold on your wrist. She leans close enough that you catch the scent of clove and rose. Her words are quiet, meant for you alone. He will notice you. You do not know whether it is blessing or curse. Later that night, you dream of home. Your mother's hands weaving your hair, your father's voice humming a lullaby. You wake with wet cheeks. Around you girls toss in restless sleep. Somewhere beyond the walls, a call to prayer drifts through the night air, haunting and distant. You press your palm to your chest, trying to remember the rhythm of your own breath. But even that feels trained, rehearsed, no longer yours. And when dawn comes, you rise with the others, step into line, and swallow your fear. Because here, fear must never show. And still you wonder, when the master finally calls, will you emerge whole or not at all? The day comes without warning. You are woken before dawn, bathed in rosewater, your skin rubbed until it burns. The older women dress you like a sacrifice silk, so fine it clings like mist, jewels cold against your skin, hair brushed until your scalp stings. They speak little, but their eyes say what their mouths will not. Tonight, you will meet him. The chamber where they leave you is dim, lit by a dozen oil lamps. Carpets muffle every sound. The air is heavy with ambergris, thick enough to make you dizzy. You kneel, waiting, counting your breaths like beads of prayer. Then he enters. The Sultan's steps are slow, deliberate, the shuffle of silk slippers across woven Persian rugs. You bow low, forehead pressed to the ground, heart pounding so hard you feel it in your throat. You dare not raise your eyes until his silence stretches long, too long, until curiosity overcomes fear. When you look, his gaze pins you like a knife. It is not hunger you see, not tenderness either. It is the weight of possession. His hand brushes your wrist, light, but final, as if sealing a bargain. He says nothing. He doesn't need to. Every gesture is command, every glance instruction. You are to obey without question. The silence grows unbearable. You force yourself to breathe evenly, to smile faintly as you were trained, though your lips tremble. When his hand lingers at your chin, tilting your face toward him, your body stiffens. You tell yourself to be still, to survive. Time bends strangely inside those walls. Minutes feel like hours. When he dismisses you with a wave, your legs nearly buckle beneath you. You return to the dormitory in silence. The other women wait, their eyes sharp, hungry for any detail. Some smile as though congratulating you, but their words cut deeper than daggers. So, he noticed you. He will call again. One girl, younger than you, whispers in the dark after the others drift to sleep. Was he kind? You cannot answer. You stare at the ceiling beams until dawn, replaying every gesture, every glance. Kindness has nothing to do with this. Days pass. You are summoned again and again. Each time, the rituals are the same. The bath, the oils, the jewels, the silence. Each time, the gaze weighs heavier. You begin to sense that you are being watched not just by him, but by all of them, the validae, the eunuchs, the rivals who measure your worth by his interest. You feel yourself splitting into two selves. One is the girl who kneels, smiles, obeys. The other is the girl who still remembers her mother's hands, her father's voice, the fields beyond the village. The first survives, the second fades. One evening, after returning from his chambers, you find a gift on your pillow, a string of pearls. Their glow in the lamplight should delight you. Instead, they feel heavy as chains. You lie awake, clutching the pearls in your hand until your palm aches. Outside, the Bosporus whispers against the palace walls. You wonder if the water remembers all the girls who disappeared beneath its surface. And you begin to understand. This is not desire. This is power. Rehearsed and perfected, passed down like a crown. And with that realization, you know you are no longer a child, but a player in a game whose rules you never agreed to. Whispers fill the corridors like smoke, curling into every chamber. You soon learn that the Sultan's gaze is only the first trial. The greater battle is fought among the women themselves. At the center sits the Valide Sultan, the Sultan's mother. She rules not only the harem, but much of the empire, though no decree bears her name. When she enters, the concubines bow lower than they ever bowed to him. Her veil hides her face, but her voice is clear, sharp, merciless. Her approval is a shield, her disfavor, a death sentence. You see it first with a girl named Layla, who had been favored for weeks. She laughed too loudly one evening, a careless slip. The next morning, she was gone. Her chamber scrubbed clean, her name erased. A whisper among the slaves told you the truth. Sherbet laced with poison. It is then you understand that the harem is a court of knives, every smile a blade. The concubines compete not only for the Sultan's eye, but for survival itself. They learn to flatter, to sabotage, to weave lies like silk. You catch glances exchanged behind lowered lashes, gestures that look like kindness but hide venom. One evening, as you pass through the corridor, a hand pulls you aside. It is Zainab, a woman older, sharper, her eyes lined with secrets. "Be careful," she whispers. "Do not trust laughter. Do not drink what you have not poured yourself." Her warning chills you more than any punishment could. Yet alliances form, fragile as spun glass. A girl named Aylin shares bread with you in the dormitory, slipping half of her portion into your hand when she sees your hunger. For weeks, you sit beside her, whispering stories of your lives before the gates closed. You let yourself believe in her friendship. Then one night she vanishes. You hear she is with child. Her chamber is emptied within hours. No one dares speak her name again. You begin to realize the truth. Here, love is a weakness, loyalty a liability. But power tempts even the most cautious heart. You hear tales of women who bore sons, who rose to command viziers, who shaped armies with whispers. The empire bends not only to the Sultan's will, but to the breath of women hidden behind veils. It is intoxicating and terrifying. The valide summons you once. She sits on a raised dais, her silhouette framed by silk curtains. You bow so low your forehead grazes the carpet. She speaks only once. Remember, child, a pearl sinks faster than it shines. You leave trembling, unsure if it was threat or counsel. Weeks pass, and the atmosphere thickens. Poisoned cups, sudden illnesses, silken cords pulled tight in the night. Each disappearance leaves silence heavier than screams. The eunuchs bury the secrets. The courtyards bloom with tulips as though nothing has changed. One evening, you glimpse the Bosporus by moonlight. The water glitters, restless, carrying with it all the names swallowed by time. Your reflection stares back, thinner, older, harder. You hardly recognize yourself. In the dormitory that night, a new girl asks you softly, "Is it true? Do some women rise higher than viziers?" You hesitate, pearls cold in your hand. You want to tell her the truth, that every rise is built on someone else's fall, but the words stick in your throat. Instead, you lower your gaze and whisper, "Keep your head low and keep breathing." Because you know the harem is not a garden of roses, but a field of thorns. And with every passing day, you feel the thorns press deeper, waiting for the moment they draw blood, and you learn, here, loyalty is fragile, and love can be fatal. You tell yourself you have grown used to it. The baths, the silks, the endless watching. But the truth slips through in the quiet moments, when you catch yourself holding your breath for no reason, or when your reflection looks like a stranger staring back at you. One night, the call comes again. You are summoned not alone, but in a procession of others, girls younger than you once were, their faces pale under the lantern glow. They look at you with wide eyes, hoping you know what to do. You wish you could tell them to run, but there is nowhere to run. The chamber is heavy with incense, the lamps burning low. Music drifts faintly from another hall, the notes languid, too soft to hide the throb of fear. When the Sultan speaks, it is not to you but to the guards, his words brief, curt, dismissive. You are reminded that you are not a person in this room, you are part of the furnishings. Like the carpets, the cushions, the gold. He gestures, and a eunuch pulls a boy forward barely 14, his wrists bound, his eyes wide as a cornered animal. The boy stumbles, choking on the cloth gag, and in that instant you see your younger self, dragged across stone corridors, trembling at a door you did not want to open. The Sultan's gaze lingers on him like a hawk over prey. Your stomach knots. You look away. You tell yourself you must not watch, but the boy's eyes find yours, pleading, and you know he has no words left, only terror. The night ends as others have, the silence thick, the air stifling. You return to your chamber and curl into yourself, but the boy's eyes do not leave you. They burn in your memory, a reminder of what you endured and what others still endure. You begin to understand that silence is not only survival, it is complicity. The days after, you see the boy no more. No one speaks of him. His absence is swallowed by routine, the same way the sea swallows stones. But guilt lingers. It grows heavy with each passing hour, pressing down like the weight of the palace walls. You wonder how many faces have been erased, how many voices silenced. You try to speak once, late at night, whispering to another concubine, "We should tell someone." Her eyes flash with fear. She grabs your wrist hard enough to bruise. Tell who? The walls? The guards? The women who poison their sisters? Keep quiet, or you'll be next. Her words sting, but more than that, they ring true. The valide watches you more closely now. You feel her gaze when you bow, when you pour sherbet, when you sit quietly among the others. Her smile never reaches her eyes. One day, she summons you. "You have grown proud," she says softly, almost kindly. "Pride kills quicker than poison." You bow lower, trembling. You know this is not advice. It is warning. But silence becomes harder to bear. One evening, a girl named Elif leans close as you braid her hair. She is young, soft-voiced, still clinging to hope. "Do you think we will ever be free?" she whispers. You hesitate. The truth claws at your throat. You want to tell her no, that freedom is a dream locked outside these walls. But the way her hands twist nervously in her lap stops you. You whisper instead. "Hold your hope close. Hide it where no one can see. It may be the only thing they cannot take." She smiles faintly, and for the first time in months, you feel something stir, something almost like resistance. But resistance here is dangerous. It has no banners, no weapons, only whispers and small mercies. The next week, Elif is summoned. She does not return. You weep quietly that night, tears soaking your pillow, muffling your sobs so the guards will not hear. The silence presses in harder than ever, suffocating, absolute. And yet, beneath the silence, a voice whispers still. If you do nothing, you are part of it. If you close your eyes, you are no better than the hands that bind the ropes. The palace gleams brighter than ever, courtyards bursting with tulips, fountains singing in the sun, but to you it all feels hollow, like a stage set hiding rot. You move through corridors heavy with secrets, your pearls clinking softly, your steps practiced, graceful. To the outside world, you are part of splendor, a jewel in the Sultan's crown. But inside, you carry the weight of ghosts. And you begin to wonder, how many more will vanish before someone dares to speak? And you realize, silence is the harem's greatest law, and its most terrible crime. The years pass, though you cannot say how many. Seasons blur behind the palace walls, the world outside reduced to rumors carried on the wind. You measure time not by calendars, but by faces, those who rise, those who vanish. Your hair begins to silver. The jewels in your chest grow heavier, no longer trophies but reminders. Each one marks a night endured, a favor granted, a rival lost. The Sultan who once summoned you is gone, buried with prayers and marble. Another sits in his place, different eyes, different voice, but the same hunger, the same indifference. Nothing truly changes. The machine grinds on, fed by new girls with frightened eyes. You sit by the lattice window, the one place where air feels less stale. From here, you can see the Bosporus shimmer, restless and eternal. You wonder how many secrets it has swallowed, bodies lowered in the night, names erased before dawn. A new girl enters the harem, barely 10, her face round with childhood. You watch her stumble through her lessons, too eager, too clumsy. She reminds you of yourself long ago, before silence hardened your bones. One evening, you find her crying softly in a corner. You kneel beside her, offering a handkerchief. She whispers, "I miss my mother." Your throat tightens. You want to tell her it will get easier, but you cannot lie. Instead, you say, "Hold her in your memory. They cannot take that from you." She clings to your words like a lifeline, and you realize, though you cannot change the walls, you can leave echoes in the hearts of those who follow. But power still looms. The Valid, older now but no less sharp, continues her quiet reign. Her sons rise and fall, yet her hand remains steady on the harem's pulse. One night, you overhear her speaking to a vizier. Her voice is calm, but her words slice. The empire bends not by swords, but by wombs. Remember that. The truth chills you. For all the silks and jewels, the harem was never about desire. It was about control. Control of women, of children, of dynasties themselves. You think of Elif, of Alan, of the boy with pleading eyes. You think of the names never spoken again, their stories buried in silence. And you wonder, when you are gone, will your story vanish too? One night, unable to sleep, you take a small shard of charcoal and scratch words into the underside of a wooden chest. Not names, not confessions, only fragments of memory. Roses, tears, the river. You hope someone, someday, will find them. Proof that you were more than silence. The empire outside shifts, battles, treaties, rebellions. But within these walls, the rhythm remains. The baths, the silks, the summoning, the vanishing. It feels eternal, like the tides. Until one day, you are summoned no longer. The younger girls replace you. You are given chambers apart, richly furnished but quiet, like a mausoleum for the living. Your body weakens. Your hands tremble when you braid your hair. The mirrors no longer flatter, but the memories remain sharp, cutting as ever. You spend your days by the lattice, watching the sun scatter across the Bosporus. You watch new girls pass through the gates, their faces pale with fear, their names erased as yours once was. And you understand, the cycle will continue long after you are dust. Still, in the stillness of your final years, you find a kind of clarity. You see that survival itself was resistance. That every kind word, every whisper of truth, was a small rebellion against the silence. You close your eyes and hear voices, the girls who laughed with you, the ones who cried, the ones who vanished. Their echoes fill the room, soft but insistent. And you know you are not entirely gone. Because the harem's walls could not erase everything. Memory lingers, carried in whispers, in scars, in the river's restless current. As your breath grows shallow, you wonder if centuries from now, strangers will uncover fragments of this life. Will they look away, ashamed, as others did? Or will they finally see the truth behind the silk, the shadows that fed the empire's light? Your last thought is not of the sultan, nor of the valide, nor of the jewels that weighed your neck. It is of the girl you once were, standing at the palace gate, staring at the sky that seemed too far away. You whisper to her, across the years, I remember you. And then you let the silence take you. Because the secrets of the harem were never about desire. They were about power. And power still hides behind silk today.